Everyone, welcome. Today is Thursday, April 7th, 2022. This is a special meeting agenda to consider the American Rescue Plan Act Task Force recommendation. Attending are Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Filios. And do we have any changes to the agenda? I hear none. Okay, one and only business item. It's the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA, Force recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, and I should add that none of us has seen this. This is the first time it's being presented to us, and I'm going to turn it over to our Task Force Director and Treasurer, Steve Matheson. Steve, please.
Thank you. Today, we are presenting the conclusion of several months' work by the task force members. So, Caitlin, could you please deliver the three to the commissioners? Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the members of the task force. They put a lot of extra work in, well, and beyond their normal job duties. Many of us have other obligations, so we had to take and find time to cram in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of not only the act, but the interim final rule and the final rule. So again, I want to thank each and every member, and especially Jody Beasy of RMO. This could not have been possible without her guidance. She has obtained an excellent staff, so my compliments to Jody.
Thank you.
Earlier, about a half hour ago, we had our last meeting of the task force. So we voted and we have disbanded the task force. That does not mean that we are not available for any questions that you have. In fact, RMO is a direct report to the commissioners. I am more than willing to answer any questions you might have, but the task force and its task has been completed. And I know Pat's available too as well. He was with us every step of the way, and I think his guidance helped us produce a better product. So with that, here's the report.
Okay.
The ball is now in your court.
Okay. Thank you. Pat, Deputy Civil Prosecuting Attorney, go right ahead, Pat, please.
Okay.
If there's anything you'd like to add, I should say.
I didn't know that there was really anything I could add other
Okay.
than it was a pleasure to work with the task force and make sure everything was on track and try to answer some, fairly tough questions that we had that were, in some cases presented for the first time, and in others, were consistent with other, the questions that arise over any federal grant funds that we accept and and expend. So one thing I do want to mention is will be coming I'm in the final stage of just going over the final product, but a detailed procurement guide for specifically for federally funded projects, which, in some cases, even if a project isn't federally funded, much of the material in there represents best practice also.
Okay.
So that will be presented separately to the board, and I will prepare a resolution officially adopting and approving that. And that will be key to have in place should the board decide to go ahead and spend the funds as recommended or otherwise.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Treasurer Matheson or Attorney Pat Braden? None? Okay, so where we are now is this is, again, the first and final, I guess it is, presentation of the report, as I indicated earlier. None of the three of us has seen this, so we're seeing it for the first time. So it wouldn't be appropriate for us to make any comments at this time, and we're going to have to take some time to digest it. And so unless there are, and because I guess there are no other questions, is there anything anybody else wishes to add? Okay, so what is our time frame? We're going to have to take some time to digest this. We're probably looking, I suspect, at least 30 days. And then we'll reconvene at that point and decide where we go from there. And that's probably the best I can offer at this time. Leslie, Bill, was there anything you'd like to offer?
I'm excited to get into this and look at this. I did at the outset of the task force indicate that I would seriously consider taking the recommendations and not coming up with my own. And so that's what I intend to stick to. Obviously, new information comes about, and I haven't read the report, so I will, like I said, just look forward to getting into that.
Bill?
I'm disappointed to see that we're going to put $22 million, if we vote on it as is, into the building. I think that ought to be, I said I would vote for anything $18 million or less if it were set to the public in a general obligation bond. And apparently that is not the direction that task force wants to go, so I can't support this.
Okay, well, we don't have to make that decision today, and there's probably more to be digested. I think Commissioner Leslie Duncan makes a valid point in that there's been a lot of work that has gone into this. It's taken months, and I think there's good reason to be able to look at this and say, look, these people have spent the time, the effort, and we probably ought to be following these recommendations, and that's my inclination as well, but that certainly won't be decided until we get together for, as I said, in at least a month from now. But your point is so noted, Bill. And at this point, unless we have anything further to add, what I'd like to do is turn it over for public comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Kootenai County residents first, please. Okay, Sheriff?
Members of the board and public present, thank you for coming and being involved and engaged in this process. The commissioners, I have made it very well known to each of you about some of the public safety challenges that this county has seen in the last several months and when I took office about 15 months ago. I have told you about some of these risks, and these risks have become reality. We have had people that have had tragic events occur to them because of our lack of prioritizing public safety. Our jail now, we send inmates out of county, which will be an additional strain on resources. They don't house them out of county for free. We have some significant issues with personnel, especially when we have a county that pays $26 an hour for detention staff. We have some significant decisions that have to be made about public safety. I will be going to the prosecutors very soon. In fact, I'm going to come to you to ask you where you stand on what do you want me to do with these 420 inmates? 361 is what is deemed a safe facility for us. So I'm going to pose that to you. We've seen across this country what type of bail deviation programs and low sentencing is occurring, and it's not good. So I haven't seen this report, nor have I spoken to anybody that was on this task force, but public safety in Kootenai County to preserve our quality of life should be an absolute priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Who else from Kootenai County wishes to speak? Name, please, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Luke Russell. I've been a resident of Kootenai County for about 30 years. Recently retired from Hecla Mining Company.
Okay.
And I'm respectfully asking the commission here today to fund the proposal submitted by Innovia Foundation, which seeks to utilize these one-time ARPA funds for implementation of a project called Launch Northwest. I've participated in many of the focus groups and the public meetings around this initiative, and as a business leader who's passionate about our community and for education, there's real merit in this proposal. It will move us beyond silos, address the challenges in new ways, but it really will help build the workforce we need today and tomorrow. It will create a strong economy. Launch Northwest differs from the other proposals you probably received and how to use these one-time funds. First, no other proposal submitted has the level of countywide collaboration as this one does. It requires elected officials, representatives from all levels of education, business leaders, nonprofits, faith-based groups, students, and families all to be at the table. Second, no other proposal has the ability to leverage these funds as this proposal does. This Launch Northwest would leverage $150 million in private and philanthropic dollars, a real bang for the buck. And third, unlike the other proposals, Launch Northwest promises to impact now to address the challenges of the pandemic and also to benefit Kootenai County for generations to come. Two key points I'd like you to think about as you consider this. First, the community, academic, and non-academic aspects of this initiative will be offered to all students, whether it be in private, public, homeschool. When Launch Northwest says all, it means all students. Second, the Promise Scholarship can be utilized for students to find a career path, secondary, community college to four-year college. They can go to the workforce training. Very unique. This model of Launch Northwest has been used in other communities in the U.S., and it has had a tremendous impact. It has reduced foster care placement by 40%. It has increased high school graduation rates by more than 40% and improved student outcomes even in the midst of the pandemic. These ARPA funds are one-time dollars coming into our region. Let's help our students live their hopes and their dreams and pursue the careers of their choice. We can be responsible with these dollars that we've been given and utilize them to have a significant impact on our community. I thank you for listening to me and for your consideration for Launch Northwest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Appreciate it. Anyone else from Kootenai County? William Lee.
Yes, you know my name. Yes, I'm William Lee. I'm from Coeur d'Alene. So I've spoken a few times, and I won't belabor it, and I'll just kind of rehash my points to the audience here. But personally, I don't think we should be taking ARPA money at all. I think that just over the course of the last 800 days, the federal government committing, injustice against American citizens by just through their overreach. And we've been living through like a small hell, the whole nation. And taking this money, it is a passive way to approve of that behavior, even though it would benefit us a lot. But taking the money is a way for us to express our passive compliance to what the federal government did. Eventually, if this keeps going on, we might have COVID 2.0. It'll turn into leverage against us. That's why I don't think we should be taking ARPA money. Second point is, I don't think, if we are going to take the money, I don't think we should be giving it out to nonprofits. Generally speaking, I think nonprofits are kind of like rackets for progressive ideals. Thirdly, for the conservative people here that love our county, love freedom, love liberty, I encourage you to try to pass a bond for whatever you need to do. People here love you. You got votes, a lot of votes. People here love you. So I would try doing that, explore that option. And lastly, I just want to say is that if you guys do take the money and you guys review the applications, that you guys would do a public hearing, just for everyone to come and talk about it. I think that would be helpful. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from Kootenai County? Okay, does anybody else wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, one quick question. Do the other elected officials get to see a copy of that report?
It'll be posted on the website later this afternoon.
Did you hear that, Sheriff?
Will we be able to have the same copy that you have right now?
We do have extra copies here that you can go ahead and pick one up if you'd like. We do not have enough for everyone. It's 185 pages. I didn't want to spend all that money when it's going to be electronically on file on the website this afternoon. So I will sign one for you if you like.
I would love that.
One
Sir,
more.
did you want to come?
Keep me by 5 o'clock.
Matthew Priest, I'm also a Kootenai resident. Just kind of a question here because I'm not sure based on the comments by the last speaker. Has the county made a decision whether or not to accept these funds or not?
The answer is yes, it was voted on. It was a 2-to-1 vote last
So it
July.
is finalized.
Well,
The acceptance of the money, yes.
we have not agreed to spend any of it.
Right, but it has been determined that the county will in fact accept whatever the allocated funds are.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
On that note, and I don't know, Treasurer Matheson, if you want to comment, the amount we're talking about is $32 million, is that correct? But the allocation that is prescribed in this report is 27?
Yes, I'll try to respond to Mr. DePriest. The board did vote to accept the funds. The board has not decided to spend the funds.
Precisely.
So the three of you will have to determine if and how you want to spend the funds. The task force has recommended 27 million and some change. We did that for a particular reason. We felt that we wanted to hold some money back because we do not know if there's going to be another wave of COVID and what other additional requests might come in that supersede what we've already considered. So that's the reason why we haven't totally recommended spending the full 32 million of allocated funds.
Okay.
Okay, but either way, I guess.
I think this is public comment.
Yeah,
folks.
it's not really a Q&A, so, but if you
Okay,
want to
I'll
make
address
comments,
it
go
to
ahead.
you then based on what I just heard. Is that okay?
You can address it to me. I don't know if I can answer it, but go
I
ahead.
understand. It sounds by what I just heard that there's the potential that the county may not spend all of the allocated funds. And if that is so, where would those unspent funds, they wouldn't go back? Is it a case of saying we're going to give it back to the federal government? Or will it be held in the county's coffers? What would happen with the unspent funds, I guess, is the question that I would have based on what Mr. Matheson just said.
I can answer that.
Yeah,
but
go right
I
ahead.
really don't want this to turn into a question and answer.
Yeah.
Any money that is not actually spent goes back to the U.S. Treasury.
That's,
Back to the U.S.
that's 2 years you have to spend it, right?
The final allocation has to be spent by December of '26.
Okay.
I believe that answers your question.
Yeah, I guess what I would say to that is, if any of you, just for educational purposes, may want to watch the Post Falls City Council meeting that they had 2 days ago, I believe it was probably Tuesday night, and Councilmember Malloy put on an extremely well-researched presentation as to the ramifications of accepting funds in relationship to all the things that we've been hearing about what can happen or not happen if we do take the funds. So I would recommend anybody who is concerned about this and where they're spending it and what the consequences could be regarding mandates and vaccinations and being held to all kinds of things. I think it's very well researched and explained by Councilmember Malloy. So I would ask everybody, but in particular, to use that as informational research.
Okay, thank you, Ed DePriest. Anyone else? Jonathan? Okay then, so I've got 2:19 PM and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.